memories. In the video titled, Why Is It Always About Race with Black People, Part 2, Blacks and Crime, I debunked the narrative that blacks do more crime. I used the United States Census to prove my point, and that worked for some people, but some is not gonna cut it. You see, I need all of you to understand that this is a false narrative. I need the media-induced narrative of violent black people to be completely and utterly destroyed out of the teachings and programming of society, if I may be clear, because all this is programming. And programming gets a bad rap, but we all need to accept it. All of us have been programmed from birth, how to behave and how to think. There's nothing wrong with it until you get bad programming. Garbage in, garbage out. You see, the human brain is the biological equivalent to a computer. That's why we created computers. We were able to conceptualize them. As above, so below. What we understand, we can make. Get it? Let's move on. You can program a brain because you can program a computer. Computers use code. Those codes are made up of numbers and symbols. If I'm going to get you all to understand this extremely important message I'm about to say, then I'm going to need coding that is universal. So I'm going to use math. Write these figures down because I'm about to give your brain code. Picture 1. Total number of people in state and federal prisons. That's all the prisons that we have. Total number of inmates dropped from 2.1 million in 2019 to 1.8 million mid-2020. So we aren't looking at old numbers here. This is extremely important for your mind to accept the data that I'm giving you. Because if I gave you old data, then you would not believe it. Picture number 2. In 2018, Black Americans represented 33% of the prison population, nearly triple their 12% of the US adult population. Sidebar, this 12% part, this coding, this is where the programming goes left. It is designed to elicit an emotional response via data input of the brain. Let's continue. Whites accounted for 30% of the prison population, about half their 63% share of the United States population. Again, sidebar, half of any number is a lot, but the television programming doesn't focus on that quote-unquote half of 63% share of the United States population. As a matter of fact, I bet that most of you haven't even heard that figure ever talked about on a nightly news broadcast. This math, this coding is largely unused. It's not inputted into the brain/computer. Black crime data / coding elicits a better emotional response. Let's continue. Now, here's the math. No need for the calculator. I got you. I always got you because I care about you. Total prison population in the United States, 1,800,000 times 0.33. That is the percentage of black prisoners. Remember the number earlier, 33%. That equals 594,000 black prisoners in the United States prison population. These are killers, thieves, etc. Picture number 3. Total population of people in America who identify as black, 46.8 million versus 594,000 black prisoners in the United States. Sure, you don't want anyone to do crime. Victims never come back, even when they survive. Know what I'm saying? But out of 46.8 million people, 594,000 prisoners, those numbers are pretty damn minimal. Or they could be much worse. Again, 594,000 black prisoners versus 46.8 million blacks in America. You don't even have a million blacks in prison. You don't even have 800,000. How can black people be the most violent when out of 46.8 million of them, only 594,000 of them are violent and offensive criminals? Yeah. Now, let's compare humans. White prisoners. Total prison population in the United States, 1,800,000. Remember that number from earlier. This time, times 0.30, which represents the 30% white prisoners that we spoke about earlier. That equals 540,000 white prisoners. Now, number of white Americans, or people who identify as white in America, 234,370,202, over 60% of the American population. 540,000 white prisoners, killers, thieves, bad people. Hispanics, I don't even include, because normally Hispanic incarceration is not the main narrative that is spoken about on TV programming. 594,000 black prisoners, 540,000 white prisoners. We're still in the numbers of 500,000 people. There is no black on black crime. There is no white on white crime. There is just crime. So-called black people are just as violent as so-called white people. So-called white people are just as violent as so-called black people, proving once again that there is no black or white. There's just human beings and good and bad people of every ethnicity. And for your information, the number of black prisoners is shrinking. Take the data, delete the old input data, reprogram your brain, raise your intellect.